طيب, Bismillah. Alhamdulillah, salatu wasalam ala Rasulillah. If you have any questions, then try to post them now, bidnillahi ta'ala, with the time that we have. Assalamu alaikum. AB from Brooklyn, New York. What made you select inheritance as the subject matter of your next workshop? Barakallahu fikum. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa fikum barakallah. Well, it's something that's been fermenting in my mind for a very long time. And like we mentioned in the introduction to the class on the will, it's very important. It's very virtuous. And it pertains to many aspects of our lives as Muslims. Making money, saving money, death, Muslim minorities in the United States, living in a secular world, secular country, under a secular government, social, liberal, etc. Injustices between boys and girl children, different cultural melting pots in America, and things like this. These are some of the reasons what chose me to do that for the workshop. Jazakallah khairan. And with that being said, guys, make sure that you tune in, inshallah ta'ala, on the last Thursday of this month, June 25th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for part 2 on the rulings of the Islamic inheritance. You can go to our websites, HadithDisciple.com to purchase your tickets. And if the time is bad for you, you can get the recording, the video and the audio later on, the notes later on. And if you wish to support the cause, if you don't want to take the course, or the course is beyond you, or it's a bad time for you, you can also support the cause and make it easy for others to learn and benefit as well. Jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you very much for your support. And like we said before, the support is always appreciated and needed. Says here, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ya Aba Ramla, a New Yorkie. M.I. from Hamtramck. I'm not sure of the state. William Ibn William. Some of the message is off between the Arabic and the English. Brother here has asked many questions and mentioned the state and city before. Can you make an explanation of Ma'na al-Kufr bi-Tawaghit, bi-Taghut, Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab? Tayyib. Please go back to the playlist in which we explained the entire book from cover to cover of Al-Usul al-Thalatha. Jazakallahu khairan. Inshallah ta'ala, you'll find a full explanation there. Jazakumullahu khairan. OR from Springfield, Virginia. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. Is it a sin not to pray witr? Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. No, it is not. Witr is not obligatory to pray. Wallahu alam. Highly recommend it. F. Ali from London, UK. Can you make tayammum from metal or iron? Some scholars hold the view that you can. Anything that comes from the earth, or a mineral that comes from the earth, or something that has dust upon it from the earth. Wallahu alam. Anwar Ali, Assalamu alaikum. How should we feel about knowledgeable people in Islam that shave their beards, and ways to inform someone of the ruling when he has been shown and taught something else? Tayyib. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Give them nasiha. Make sure that you know your place. It's a wide common mistake. Many people, they talk to someone who studied overseas, someone who's knowledgeable, they just disrespect them and talk to them, they talk down to them. Regardless whether the person is doing some type of bid'ah or sin or whatever they're doing, they still studied when you were at home. You were in America eating and drinking as you wanted to. Okay, they were in Egypt, wherever you were, wherever they went. And what were you doing? They memorized the whole Quran, they studied Islamic courses, took actual alim courses, etc. And you were relaxing and making money and playing sports. So there has to be some type of respect. There has to be some type of regard for that person. At the same time, ad-deenun nasiha, the religion is advice. So you give that person advice, inshallah ta'ala, you give them nasiha. You give them nasiha and see what happens between that ta'ala. Don't force them. Don't argue with them. Don't debate with them. You leave it as it is. Give them advice. This is what I learned. This is what I saw. This is a hadith that I read. And tafaddal. Or you say to the brother, could you explain this to me? Could you help me understand what the hadith means when the Prophet says, let the beards grow long, so on and so forth. And maybe you may enlighten him. Ask him a question. Sheikh, our dear respected brother, could you tell me why you shave your beard? So on and so forth. You never know. He may not know. He may be misinformed. Or it may make him reflect and think. So do it with respect and just tell him that. That's it. You don't have to argue. Don't fight. Don't abuse. Don't disrespect him. Avoid that. Just give the nasiha. Period. That's it. Wallahu alam. AK Niagara Falls. what counts as consensus of the Salaf? Like we mentioned many times before, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah and others have explained that consensus of the Salaf is actual consensus, in which there is an erudite scholar who narrates ينقل الإجماع عنهم, that the Salaf agreed unanimously on an issue, on a matter, on a ruling, and there's nothing proven to go against that. There's no khilaf, no athar to go against what that scholar quotes of ijma', and that scholar is qualified for that naql to report that. Then that's one way. And the second way is an-naqlul mustafid, is that it's something which is the overwhelming majority. So many salaf did it over and over again publicly, and is maybe one or two went against it, or not even that. We don't have nothing to go against it, but it's just naql mustafid. It's been massively reported. The Sahaba did this. Kunna naqulu. We used to say this. Kunna naqulu. Wa ashabu Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We used to say this, and the companions were amongst us. So on and so forth. Wallahu alam. Question says, طيب, Asad bin Khalid. I don't see the first part of your question, Asad. Please repost it. Jazakallah khairan. ASC, AK from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So do you vocalize your dua and sujood, or keep it in your head? You make sure that you move your lips. Bidnillahi ta'ala. Make sure your lips are moving, and you don't have to make it out loud, in which you have to hear it. You move your lips and you say it, inshallah ta'ala. AJ from Columbus, Ohio. Can someone say they don't have an opinion on? We're not going to take that question online for one reason or another. Please forgive us. Bronx, New York. Tight, we'll take it, no problem. Question says, AJ Columbus, why can someone say that they don't have an opinion on such and such a group? We'll mention that. I'm getting to know him for marriage, and he says he can't say anything about his brothers in Islam. There's nothing wrong with that. If someone says, what's your view on this group? And he says, I don't have no view. I don't have no opinion. I don't know them. I haven't met them. I don't know what the media is telling me about them. I'm not going to judge them. I wouldn't disagree with him. Do you know about that group firsthand? Have you seen what they've done? Have you been there? Or are you listening to what their enemies and opponents say about them? Can you trust the media? Can you trust the news? Have they not been proven to lie shamelessly and to hide facts? They could be showing something happening. It could be in a studio in Manhattan, New York City. They could be in the deserts of New Mexico, showing you a live broadcast from Iraq and Syria, and it's not even there. If you feel convinced and you trust what people say, alhamdulillah. But don't force the next person to take your conviction. That's what I would say about that group or any cause or whatever they're doing. And it's easy to judge someone in a place in which you're not there. In your circumstance, you don't know what's going on, whether they're right or wrong, but a person says, I don't know. I'm not judging them. Allahu alam. TA from Bronx, New York. Is everything in the Aqidah books written by the Salaf from Aqidah, for example, wiping over the socks of matters of rebellion, can we consider these fiqh issues? Without a question, they're fiqh issues. There's no doubt about that. And the concept of Aqidah versus the madhab of the Salaf as a whole, or Manhaj al-Salaf, or Manhaj al-Sunnah as a whole, the whole methodology of Islam, the whole application of Islam. Also, the reason why they mention those things is because many groups, when they reared their ugly heads, they started to deny certain things that were mentioned in the hadiths, such as intercession, such as wiping over the socks, such as al-aghlal, chains being on people's necks on the Day of Judgment, adhab al-qabr, other things. Even though adhab al-qabr is from Aqidah, but you get the point I'm trying to make. Is that it wasn't necessarily an issue of Aqidah, but it was an issue in which those opposers began to use as their slogans and push and promote upon the people. An example is the Shia, the Rafida, wiping over their bare feet. A fiqh issue, no question about that. But there's a reason why they rejected those hadiths. And the Sunnis said, we nara al-masha al-khuffain, we wipe over the leather socks. Wa nara al-shifa, we see that there's intercession. We believe that there's intercession. وَنَرَى الْجِهَادَ مَعَ كُلِّ إِمَامٍ بَرٍ so on and so on, Fajr, etc. You understand? Wallahu alam. Aaron from Maryland, U.S. Is it good or extreme to avoid retweeting favorite tweets that have profile pictures of women without a hijab? Anything that causes you to doubt Is it good? Is she covered up? You try your best to avoid. You can't stay away. You can't lose by staying away from it. Inshallah, post something else that's better. Wallahu alam. HH, Burnsville, Maryland. My family, or Minnesota. My family is having a graduation party. As I'm graduating from high school, there may be tabarruj and free mixing involved. What should I do? May Allah bless you, akhi. Don't go to the party. Tell your parents that you're uncomfortable. Don't say it's haram, because that's going to cause an argument and a fight. That's going to cause an argument and a fight. Say that you don't want to go. Say that you're uncomfortable. All right? Use some hikmah. Wallahu alam. Oh, in Ottawa, Canada. How should you approach studying a specific book? Please go back to the playlist. Oh, student of knowledge. How to read, how to understand, how to memorize. Please go back to that, inshallah. We explained that in detail. FM, Antwerp, Belgium. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Can a Muslim woman upload pictures of herself on social media if she's wearing hijab and her account is on private, only for the people she knows? Bidnillah ta'ala, hopefully there's nothing wrong with that. Depending on how you dress, normally. There are some brothers who say, oh, a woman is online. A woman is in the MSA talking or speaking. Well, she doesn't wear niqab anyway. She goes outside. Nah, mahram and see her hands in her face anyhow. What's the difference between in public versus online? As far as if a sister wears niqab and she posts her picture or video and she's wearing niqab and the gloves, that's one thing. If she takes off her niqab and gloves on her social media, that's a different story. Who is on your page? Who is allowed to see you? Are they trustworthy people? Are they people who have integrity and equity? Are they going to download your picture, screenshot your picture, and show them to their brothers or their husbands or so on and so forth? Wallahu a'lam, be mindful of that. And don't go extreme in any manner. AP from Philadelphia, it says from PA. Where you coming from PA? I assume that it's Philadelphia, but please mention that. I don't want to assume and fall into the sin of assuming. Tahar Anwar, Skokie, Illinois. Regarding the wars in the end of times, there's a hadith Sahih Muslim that mentions a war against the Romans where 1/3 of the Muslims will run away. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will not forgive them. La yatubu Allahu alayhim abadan. Will the doors of forgiveness be closed for these Muslims? In general, Allah forgives all sins except for major shirk and major kufr. And of course, running from the battlefield is a major sin. But there are times and instances in which it is allowed to run from the battlefield. And there are times and instances in which a person cannot run. They must fight. They must stand firm. The need of the Muslims, representation of the Muslims, victory is in the hands of the Muslims, etc. And the commands that the Muslims are given. Wallahu alam. CB from College Park, Maryland. What are ways we can help African American Muslims and non-Muslim in America? First and foremost is raising awareness. Raise awareness. And to bring things to the surface. Is that there is lack of justice, there is inequality in many things. And as we said before, we are not promoting equality in everything. Because everything and everyone is not, everything is not equal. But we promote justice. And there's certain things in which everyone is equal. There are times and places in which a person is above or superior to another person, such as a woman. The Prophet was asked, who should I treat the kindest? Who deserves my good treatment the most? Man ahaqqa nasi bi husni sahabati. And the Prophet said, mother, 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 then the father. All right, so there's certain times in which the mother is superior than the father. Sometimes the father is superior. This child is older. لِلذَّكَرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنْثَيَيْنِ etc. So everything's not always equal in Islam. And you can't just, even from a social aspect or political aspect, you can't just say that everyone is equal with regards to money. There's some people who have money, who saved money, who have worked, who have inherited money. How can you say that they have to be treated equally with someone who doesn't have any money? I have to give away all my money? Every poor person has to have the money that I have? It's not necessarily correct. But everyone has to have the equality of education, of seeking jobs, of opportunities, etc., of police, colleges. A rich person does a crime, slap on the wrist. A poor person does a crime, bring out the axe and the hatchet and cut off his head. No, that's inequality, that's dhulm. So times in which things are equal and times in which things are not equal, but there has to be justice all of the time and cannot be dhulm. So the first step is to raise the awareness and to keep it real and to not reject and act like everything is peachy and perfect. Oh, it's no such thing, you're exaggerating. Oh, no, that's not true. And anybody who knows anything about the history of this country knows the reality of these things. And it's not just against black people, as we said before. Read how the Chinese immigrants were treated in the early 19th century. Read how the Japanese immigrants were treated in the 20s and the 30s in America. One of the reasons according to many historians and scholars on World War II, was one of the causes behind Pearl Harbor, and one of the causes behind the United States going into the Pacific theater of war. And as FYI, for people to know, there was Pacific theater of war before D-Day, before June 1944, before they invaded France. The Americans were fighting Imperial Japan in the Pacific. And there were many horrible, great battles fought, whether it's Midway, Coral Sea, etc. And one of those reasons, according to many historians, they say, is that there was severe inequality, there were mistreatment of Japanese immigrants in the United States. They were treated like trash. They were treated beneath the humane treatment. And many of their assets were seized, and their foreign assets were seized. And that forced Imperial Japan into initiating the war. Some say this. The point that I'm trying to make is not a lesson on World War II, a history on World War II, but I'm trying to show you that injustice, dhulm, has been an integral part of the fabrics of this country from its earliest days. And the hypocritical thing is the 4th of July. We celebrate our nation's independence, 1776, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in the air, so on and so forth. We celebrate this. Why did they fight King George? Why did they fight Britain, England? What was the purpose of the American Revolution? Except because of dhulm. And those colonists, those people in Boston, in Virginia, they said no taxation without representation. You can't take the fruits of our hard labor, overtax us, oppress us, and we don't have a voice in Parliament and the ability to dictate our own laws and our own constitution. And they fought, and they lost their lives, and they killed, and they took many other people's lives for that which they thought was dhulm. So therefore, the foundation of the country is based off of what? Fighting for justice. So how can we come in 2020 and say, oh, you can't say that. If you say this, then you're a black nationalist, you're a racist, you're a supremacist. Oh, you're this, you're a revolutionary, you're a khawarij. What is this? This is the fabric of the country, dhulm. And the people, when they fought those wars, they fought the redcoats. Who did they take the land from? Who did they kick off the land? Who did they spread diseases to? The natives. They took their land. They oppressed them. They wronged them. And then they said, now we have to fight for justice. And there's so many other contradictions and inconsistencies in the history, the fabric of this country. So the point I'm trying to make is there's always been dhulm. There's going to be dhulm, unfortunately, in many places. So the first step is to raise the awareness. Raise the awareness. And not to reject the well in the room. Not an elephant. It's not an elephant anymore. It's a well. And people say there's no racism in Islam. That's not true, brother. Or of course there's no racism in Islam. There's no racism among Muslims. That's not true. You can't say that. No, Muslims aren't racist. How dare you say that? You're promoting hate. Stuck for the law. You're telling people to kill white people. What type of commandment is this? For a person to say that there are Muslims who are racist. There are Muslims who are prejudiced. There are Muslims who wrong their brothers and sisters because of the color of their skin or what country they come from. How can you deny and reject that? So people that run from the reality, they want to ignore the well in the middle of the room and say, oh, no, I don't see it. Where's the well? Bring the awareness. Raise the awareness. Let's sit down and let's talk. Why are there differences among the Muslims? Why do we treat certain people a certain way? Why do people have a privilege? All right? And the country in which we've migrated to, America, is based off of what? The rights that you have to go to college, to ride your skateboard, to save your money. It came on the lashes of whose backs? So raise the awareness, bring up the discussion, and talk about it scholastically and deal with it, inshallah ta'ala. And then from there you take the practical steps in removing police brutality, the practical steps in removing and ridding corruption, the practical steps in the people in the community having a voice and having things to say about those whom they want to govern them and police them. وهكذا. Wallahu alam. Tayyib. Next question says, AS from London. Assalamu alaikum. Brother, do we send blessings upon the Prophet and every dua in order for it to be accepted? Sending prayers upon the Prophet ﷺ is one of the greatest acts of ibadah. One of the most virtuous things to do. But under any circumstance, is it a condition for your dua to be accepted? Allah could accept the dua without sending prayers upon the Prophet ﷺ. But it is recommended, and it is a means of polishing your dua. It is a means of, inshallah ta'ala, your dua, inshallah, being accepted, being correct, being accepted, but it's not a condition. And Allah surely knows best. Tayyib. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ayas from Lahore, Pakistan. Why is the hadith of Salat Tasbih weak? Some basic reasons as the scholars differ on this matter. Jazakallahu khairan. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Like any other issue, there are conditions for hadith to be accepted. There are conditions for hadith to be valid, to be sahih, to be maqbool. If those conditions are not fulfilled, then the hadith becomes weak. If there's no other supporting evidence, the Sahaba did it, the Sahaba who used to practice it, the generalities of this and that, then there's nothing to be done with regards to the act of ibadah, mentioning that a weak hadith, or the hadith which is extremely weak, if not fabricated. Oftentimes, scholars of hadith themselves differ on these things being present in this hadith or not. Is this narrator majhul or not? Is he thiqah or not? Is it muttasil or not? So the scholars of hadith, they differ, just like the scholars of fiqh differ. So therefore, you take the fatwa of the scholar that you trust. If you're a student of knowledge, then you research the issue yourself and follow your own ijtihad. You eat from your own labor. You eat from your own hunt. And never take refrigerated food or frozen food or canned food. Eat from your own hunt. I've researched the issue. I've studied the issue. I'm qualified to make my own bath. And this is my natija. All right? So these are some of the reasons why they differ on that issue or any other issues. All right? And he who researches that will clearly find those hadiths being da'if, being extremely weak. And Allah knows best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. KT from New York City. How can I contact you for possible interpretation of dreams? Jazakallahu khairan. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, you can email us and we'll try our best to get back with you, inshallah, and try our best to give you some guidance on your dream. And Allah knows best. Idris M, Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh Mufti, I hope you're well. May Allah bless you. What advice do you have for the Muslim communities as the masajid are starting to open up in parts of the world? Jazakallahu khairan. Well, first and foremost is to thank Allah. To thank Allah for ease after hardship. To thank Allah for relief after difficulty. And for them to value and to appreciate the masjids more. Many times, oftentimes, we take the masjids for granted. And we see how fragile life is. And it can be taken away from you, snatched away from you just like that because of a cough or a sneeze. Someone dies, shut everything down. Death, 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 corona, I'm going to get it, I'm going to die. And the people go on a crazy panic attack. So life is fragile. So be grateful for what you have and cherish what you have. Also, bid'nillahi ta'ala, take it slow. Take your precaution, whatever you consider to be valid precaution from the disease or any other illness. Inshallah ta'ala, and be grateful to Allah. Wallahu alam. Tayyib. This will be our last question tonight, inshallah. Or maybe we'll take just 2 or 3 in summarized version, lightning round. And please forgive me, guys. I've been off. Talked to Ustaz Samir about a month ago, and he says, listen, Mufti, stick to the lightning round. Answer the questions quickly. Don't spend too much time on them. Any other explanations you can do in other videos. Answer as many questions as you possibly can from the people. And unfortunately, I fell off of that advice. Assalamu alaikum. Caller Ali from Queens, New York. What is the ruling on self-diagnosing yourself marijuana in small doses rather than popping Tylenols, Advils, etc.? Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's all based off of knowledge. If you have knowledge, act upon your knowledge. If you don't have the proper knowledge, don't act upon what you don't know for sure. All right? Tylenol is not as bad as heavy elephant pills, as I like to call them. Big, heavy drugs that form habits. Extra strength Excedrin Tylenol is not the same. All right, so the argument is made with regards to medicinal marijuana and people taking heavy drugs. Put them to sleep, put them high on cloud 9. They can't stop popping the pill. That's not the same as a Tylenol or an Advil. All right, so that's a different argument. Stay away from any type of medicinal marijuana versus Advil or Tylenol. As far as chronic illness, major sickness, major pain, major suffering, then that's a scholastic issue. Wallahu alam. Question comes from Fatih from Bundung, Gambia. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Can I listen to the Tabligh Jama'ah or follow them? And I want to know about their Aqidah because last time they came to me talking about their belief. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you and bless all Muslims in the Gambia. Inshallah ta'ala, try your best to learn as much as you can. And try your best to act upon as much as you can. And when you learn and you act upon things, give advice to any group that you come across, Jama'at Tabligh and any other Jama'ah. Okay? I wouldn't advise for you to go out with them if you have alternatives. If you have alternatives, I wouldn't advise for you to go out with them and study with them. If there are people of the Sunnah, clear, cut, pure Sunnah that you can learn from and study with, then you do that. Inshallah ta'ala. As far as if you have learnt and you give them advice, that's a different discussion. As far as there's no other alternative, they're the only Muslims there, or the Shia, or whatever the case may be, that's a different discussion. Wallahu alam. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. How do we sift through? Please mention where you're coming from. Tayyib. Please ignore this question if you don't think it's a beneficial answer. Moving forward. Tayyib. This is our last question from Tayyib. Malish. Let me focus now. Please forgive me. Abu Dawood Straman, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh Habibi, can the tabi'een and their athars be included when mentions the ijma' as proof in Islam? Ijma' is ijma'. If there's ijma' in the time of the tabi'een, then there's ijma'. It doesn't just have to be absolutely the ijma' of the Sahaba, even though the ijma' of the Sahaba is going to be the strongest ijma', as Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala said. But there are details. Wallahu alam. SA, the Netherlands, Eindhoven. May Allah grant you Jannah for those. Can Fajr be calculated? If yes, what should we take as degree? 15, 16, 17, or 18? Is it something else? May Allah Azza wa Jalla reward you. May Allah bless you and reward you as well. That's a discussion with regards to the twilight, with regards to the nautical calculations of Salat al-Fajr. And I would recommend anyone to stay away from calculating it themselves, unless they are learned in the worldly sciences and the Islamic sciences. It's not that simple, okay? Greenwich Mean Time, the true north zone, it's not that simple. It's not that easy. It's a scholastic debate in the worldly affairs. People have asked me this question before. I've done research on this before. It's not that simple. If you feel strong about a view, you stick with that. But avoid calculating anything yourself. If you don't have a good, not a total scholar, but a good chunk of the ilm, the fiqh shari, and the fiqh of the dunya, navigation, nautical calculations, so on and so forth, because it can become a little tricky in certain issues, and there's room. Sometimes there is room with regards to how it is calculated. And the last thing that I'll say is, many people don't necessarily differ on when Fajr comes in, but they may differ on when it's best to make Fajr. When it's best to make Fajr, and that's not the same as when the Fajr actually comes in, between the majority of the scholars and the Hanafi scholars, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Jazakumullah khairan for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.